What up, everybody? Hope you're having a happy Monday. You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We got a bunch to talk about here on our weekly live show. The NFL Draft is about 2.5 weeks away, so we're going to talk about 5 sleepers that I have in the NFL Draft. Guys at positions of need as well, so we'll talk about that. Also, the Giants Wire put out an article that had 5 remaining free agents who the Giants could sign. We're going to talk through the names they had on that list. And then we got one mailbag on the show today. We have 3 segments planned. Last week we didn't get into any segments because it got kind of off the rails with the Super Chats, which once again I want to say thank you. That was electric. Being able to beat Tom Downey in the Cowboys report was awesome. He was in shambles. Seeing him in an Eli Manning Super Bowl jersey was pretty damn cool. So thank you to all the people that tuned in last week. And if you were able to super chat, that was greatly, greatly appreciated. We got a bunch to talk about, though, in today's show. But first, let's get the show going with the way we always do. Shout out your city for me down in the comment section. I want to know where all of the real ones are tuning in from. One of my favorite things about Chat Sports, and specifically New York Giants Now, is just the fact that we have people littered all across the world, not just the country, the world as well. We got people tuned in from every pocket of the globe watching New York Giants Now. So shout out your city for me, or maybe your country, down in the comment section. What up, Cullen? Cullen Allen is in Dallas. That's my nephew's name is Cullen. He turns 1 coming up here pretty soon. So shout out to you, Cullen. Marty's in Chesapeake, Virginia. What up? Rangers Raven is in Vancouver. Denrod is in East Haven, Connecticut. Eshawn Abraham is in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. What up? Screwed World says reading PA. The Big Moose says Boca Raton. Is that how you say that? Boca Raton? Where's that?
Florida.
Florida?
It's actually where FAU is from, Boca Raton, Florida.
Okay. You learn something every day. Love that. Shout out to producer Rolly hanging out with us today. Corey is in the ATL. Twisted is in New Jersey. Ronald is in Winter Haven, Florida. Mr. Rick. What's going on, Rick? I still got to respond to your text. I got busy yesterday on my off day. Well, it wasn't even my off day when I got home from the Knicks game. I got a little bit busy. What's going on, Mr. Rick? Godzilla says, I am in... you know what that says, Rolly? Godzilla 2021 fan, I don't know. Susan is in Rochester. Susan is in Rochester. Rolly.
Oh, what's up, Susan? What part of Rochester? Let me know. I'm from Rochester. I'm actually returning back to Rochester this upcoming weekend, a little 4-day extended trip. First time back home since moving here down to Chat's Sports headquarters in Dallas.
Well, that's exciting. I did not know that. Shout out to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out to Susan, always tuning in. What up, Rodon? He's in New York. Corinne says, hey, Big Moo. Melissa says, hello from Albany, New York. Might be moving to Trenton, New Jersey.
Wow, good for you. It's going to be tough to move on a torn ACL. How's the knee going? Do you have surgery time set?
Yeah, Melissa, how's the knee going? I wasn't able to sleep this week. Worried about your ACL injury. That's nothing to mess around about. Hope you're doing all right. Twisted Diva DeVita is in New Jersey. Wyatt says, hi, Marsh. Harrison is mad at you for getting more subs. Yeah, I'm pretty much the Bears
Wyatt,
Now daddy.
Wyatt in the chat, is this you from Bears Now? Did you finally get the name figured out on YouTube? We know you've had some issues. It was a different name, and then you switched to your brother's name, and then you've always said you're Wyatt. Oh, it is the Wyatt from Bears. When Harrison comes back next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but from his extended paternity leave, because his wife and him are expecting, I think, a baby today, actually.
Is it today?
I think it is today. So he'll be back next Tuesday. He'll be excited to see you with your actual name finally in the chat.
Shout out to Wyatt. And yes, we crush the Bears in subs. That's what we do. We sub for dubs. Melissa says, Cha, hello. I know Melissa and Cha are really good buddies. What up, Aaron? Aaron's in New York. Eric Cruz is in Philadelphia. Crim's dad is tuning in from Japan today. Good to see you, Crimmy. Corey's in ATL. Bill coming from sunny SoCal. How's the weather out there today, Billy? Good to see you in the chat, my man. Alejandro said, what up from Mexicali, Mexico? I'm learning so much geography today. Lucas is in the chat. A lot of real ones are in the chat. Teacher Planner making her way over to the New York Giants world. Love that. Hope you're having a good Monday. Oh, Mr. Rick, you are hilarious. Drew says, okay, there are a bunch of people from a bunch of places. Get on with it. Hey, relax, Drew. Pipe down over there. I'm just messing with you. You could say whatever you want. Drew's repping from North Korea, as he just said he didn't care where everyone was watching from. Teacher Planner from Jers. Jim Gillis, I always love your comments on our videos. I think you always provide insightful news, and I love seeing you in the comments section. I like you always pushing back on what I got to say. I appreciate that. I don't want people just agreeing with me. I like people like my man Jim, who always has shared his own opinion. We appreciate that. We did get our first super chat of the day from my man, a real one, Aunt Ben Rod 99. What up, AB? He says, sup, Marsh? What's good, Brody? My prediction for the draft, first round cornerback Cam Smith, second round wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. Honestly, if this is how the first two rounds played out, I'd be pretty happy with what the New York Giants have done. You get a good corner in Cam Smith, and you get a playmaker at the wide receiver spot in Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt's one of the most explosive receivers in college football, and he's explosive, man. He had like 7 catches of over 60 yards last year. He was the number 1 in deep yards in the SEC. I mean, when you score 5 touchdowns against Nick Saban and Alabama all in one day, you got to be pretty damn good at football. A little bit worried about the limited route tree we saw from Jalen Hyatt, but I do think that he could be a big play maker, big-time receiver. All it takes is one catch from Jalen Hyatt, and he can have one catch for 80 yards and a touchdown and be a game changer. So, Aunt Ben Rod, if that is the way the Giants draft falls out in the first 2 rounds, I'm absolutely cool with it. Crim's dad, you're sick? Oh, man, hopefully you didn't catch that from somebody here in the chat. Hope you're feeling a little bit better, Crim.
Feel better, Crim's dad. Oh, he switched his name back, too, back from Crimmy to Crim's dad.
I think I liked Crimmy the best.
So we both said that we liked Crimmy the best at first, but I said last Monday that I actually believed I liked Crim's dad more.
Crim's dad is, you know who Crim's dad is.
Exactly. Interesting to see him switch it back to Crim's dad. I don't know if I played a part in it or not, but all I'm saying is that I like the classic look of Crim's dad. It's back.
Good old Crimmy. Crimmy, can't you see? All righty, what about this question? So CBS just put out an article talking about the over-under win totals for teams coming into this year. And for the Giants, they had about 8.5 wins. Do you think the Giants are going to win less or more games than 8.5? Over, under. Type O for over, type U for under. They went 9-7-1 last year. Technically 10-8-1 if you want to count the postseason. I'm floating right at about 9 wins once again for the Giants. I thought they won a lot of close games last year, and that's a stat that really doesn't translate year to year. You so often see these teams that won a bunch of one-score games end up losing them the next year. But I have faith in Brian Daboll. I have faith in this coaching staff. I have faith in this front office. I thought they added some good talent. You brought in a guy like Paris Campbell who's going to make your receiving core better. You brought in a guy like Darren Waller who immediately becomes the number 1 weapon on this offense. You shored up the linebacker position by bringing in Bobby Okereke, who I believe is going to be a game changer for this offense. You were able to retain a guy like Jihad Ward. You're getting a corner back in Aaron Robinson, who was hurt last year. Hopefully Cordell Flott takes another step. You lost Julian Love, but you brought in a veteran like Bobby McCain. Wherever the Giants lost players this year, they were able to add them as well. I think they're a more talented team, but Rolly, continuing winning ways year in and year out is one of the hardest things to do in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, but Marsh, first look here, I feel like this is disrespect to the New York Giants. You mentioned it's hard to translate the close game wins. It's something that usually, if you have a lot of them, it will come down. If you don't win those close games, it will come up this next year. It usually averages out. But I just feel like this team didn't get worse. They didn't lose any big key pieces. They added Darren Waller, Paris Campbell. You expect maybe another step for Daniel Jones in year 2 with Brian Daboll. Saquon Barkley's coming back. You bring in Okereke. You get the first-round draft talent in. I just feel, and not to mention Evan Neal, hopefully he takes another step.
Takes a step.
I just feel like in a division where you're going to see Philadelphia likely regress. Maybe Washington gets a little bit better. I just think they're going to get 10 wins again. And I just feel like this is disrespectful. And if this keeps up at 8.5, I'm going to be planning on taking the over as a better come August time.
Look, I'd love to see this team win 10 games. They benefited last year from an easy schedule. Let's be honest. They got to play the AFC South, which means you get to play the Texans, you get to play the Jaguars, you get to play the Titans. Who's the other team that? The Colts. It's going to start, though, with your division. You went 0-4 last year against the Cowboys and Eagles. Can you find a way to go 1-3? Can you get adventurous and go 2-2? Can we beat Washington twice this year instead of beating them once and tying with them? Can we beat teams we're supposed to beat? Like, we were supposed to beat the Seattle Seahawks last year. We didn't. We were supposed to beat the Detroit Lions last year. We didn't. But we also beat some teams we weren't supposed to. At the time, we were not supposed to beat the Green Bay Packers. We found a way to do that. We weren't supposed to beat the Baltimore Ravens, but we did that. So you're always going to win some games you're not supposed to. You're always going to have those games you lose that you're not supposed to. If I had to predict it today, I would go 9-8 for the Giants with the potential to go 11-6 and the potential to go 8-9. That's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, I will say playing the AFC East this year instead of the AFC South is going to be a big difference. I mean, listen, the Bills, Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins, especially if the Jets end up getting Aaron Rodgers, that Jets team will be very dangerous. The Dolphins are obviously very good. The Bills are at the top of the class in the NFL, and then you got the Patriots just hanging around. It will be a tougher schedule, no doubt about it, but I just think this team will get better in year 2. They added a couple pieces, and especially if they take a corner or wide receiver with pick 25, I think there's going to be a lot of talent there that wasn't there last year.
Yeah.
I mean, Waller, Campbell, and a potential wide receiver in the first, second round is going to give Daniel Jones some extra weapons he did not have last season.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's for sure. I 100% agree there. Teams you're playing outside the division this year. You play the Green Bay Packers, you play the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Seahawks. The Rams are going to be better than they were last year. I think the Seahawks take a step back. The Green Bay game is a game you got to win. Hopefully you beat the New York Jets. Then you play the Saints. That should be a win. You play the Raiders. That should be a win. You play the Cardinals. That should be a win. The Niners is going to be tough. And then hopefully you split between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. So no necessary cupcakes like last year, but definitely a little bit of a tougher schedule. I'm going to go for over, and I think Rolly, I think a lot of people in the chat said over. I don't think I saw an under at all.
No, I mean, listen.
Wyatt says under, but Wyatt's a Bears fan. So that puts that on that.
Melissa has a question for me. Question for Rolly. How are the Lakers doing? Funny you ask. They're in the play-in game tomorrow against the Minnesota Timberwolves around 9 o'clock, or our time. I think it's 9:30, 10 Eastern time?
Yeah, something like that.
But hey, I think we're going to be live. So
9 Central. Yeah,
Lakers Report, Chat Sports. Make sure to be checking us out.
Yeah.
We'll be live for the Lakers play-in game.
That's going to be exciting. That's going to be exciting. Crim's Dad with a $5 super chat. Shout out to Crim's Dad, a legend here on the channel. He's feeling sick today. Let's wish him some sickness relief. I remember Melissa was one time sick in the chat before Crim's. She could probably help you out with that. Rolly missed all the fun name changes yesterday. So yesterday on Knicks, Crimmy and Johnson, you were in their bag with their name changes.
They were out in full force like how they are all the time.
At one point, I didn't know which one was which.
Oh,
it got that bad. They were not only were they changing the names, they were changing the pictures, and chaos. It was too much. It was too much.
Well, Crimzad also sent another 5 saying Tyler Hero says hi, Rolly. He is glad he still has some fans.
Rolly might be Tyler Hero's only fan.
Listen, I am a fan of Tyler. I was a big fan of him at Kentucky. I'm obviously a Miami Heat fan. Most of you / some of you know that. Listen, my boys got to turn up in the playoffs this year.
They do. They can win that, though. They should be able to beat the Hawks.
Well, I'm more of talking if they want to potentially beat the Celtics, they're going to need some big-time performances, which I do not expect them to win, by the way. As a Heat fan, I expect them to lose in 5 games to Boston in the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Shout out to Crimmy. Great inside joke right there. Bill, what's up, Bill? Hope you're having a good day, my man. He said, sports media's standard operating procedure equals Giants disrespect. 100% agree with that, Bill. He says, we're used to it. We were underdogs for like every game last year, if you listen to them. That's why I made a whole lot of money on the Giants last year until I put it all on money line versus the Eagles in the playoffs, and then I lost it all. But I had a huge bet, money line versus the Vikings, which turned out pretty nice for me, but I never actually saw that money because I just bet it the next week, and I thought I'd double up. The thing is, I just said, nah, that's the betting business. But, Bill, you're right. It seems like I think last year the line was 6.5 for the Giants. Now it's up to 8.5. I think that's right on the money, to be honest, because if you did 9, I think you get a lot more bets on the under. And if at 8.5, you're going to get, I think, more bets on the over. I wouldn't be surprised if they change that again, though, coming up into the season. Bill, we appreciate the super chat, my man. Continue on your journey. And I'm here to support you, man. If you ever need someone to talk to, let me know. If you want the show to start, go ahead and like this video right now. We got 165 people watching and just 44 likes. Unacceptable, to say the least. Those are rookie numbers, to quote my man Carl, who's probably not watching right now, but he's always going to tune in. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 100 likes. We're 50 likes away at this point. I know there's 49 people watching that haven't liked the video. If we can get to 100 likes before a minute, I'll start today's show with a fireball shot. Drew is calling me a rookie. I appreciate you watching my show, Drew. Hit that like button. And if you have liked the video, even though Bill said he wasn't going to like the video, now he said he liked it. Now I just don't know if he's being honest. Type me in the comment section. Type me in the comment section, and I'll give you a shout out.
Lying?
The kid NSB say, hi, Marshall Green. I mean the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. You guys are the GOAT. You guys are the GOAT.
Wyatt, I saw your comment earlier about Harrison and his wife. Yes, hopefully everything goes well and they get home safely from the hospital. But like the video, come on. I know you're a Bears fan, but come support us here at Chat Sports. We're always here having good fun. So
don't be
like
weird
the video,
about
Wyatt.
it. Don't be weird about it, Wyatt. Shout out to everyone. Rodon Plays liking the video. Chris liked the video. Player Battles, Ski liked the video as well. One of my favorite names on YouTube. Bush Baby She said, let's go Big Blue. Rob Jigga in the chat. What up, Rob? Wyatt said he just liked the video. We're 26 likes away from 100 likes. Let's see if we can get to 100. We do have a super chat menu for today's show. If we want to have a little bit of fun again, we could do that. But it is up to you guys. Last week is electric. I don't think we'll ever repeat that performance again. But, hey, we can have some fun. Every super chat, we'll do a shout out. We'll pop it up on screen. And every super chat, we'll put that on the mailbag later as well. We got a mailbag coming up in probably about 30, 40, 60 minutes, somewhere around there. $10, we'll do some fireball shots. $20, we'll spin the wheel. We got a wheel of some fun stuff over there. $50, we'll put a hard hat sticker on there for you. We're filling up after Queenie's performance last week and everybody that supported the show. We're almost running out of room here on the hard hat. So if you want to be on the hard hat, a $50 super chat will get your name on there. And then if we get to $150 today, Rolly and I will do a beer shot fun race. I think that's right. Yeah. Let's go. Bush Baby. No need to spam, but I agree with you. Let's go Big Blue. No need to spam. Crim's dad says make sure to spam. Do not spam. Do not spam. Do not spam. We do have a mailbag coming up, like we said, in about 30, 45, 60 minutes, somewhere around the corner. If you want to be featured on the mailbag, just ask a question right now in the comment section using hashtag Giants. That way, producer Rolly can put it up on screen. That way, he doesn't have to go searching for a question. I want all the real ones to ask a question. Or you could super chat. A super chat is the guaranteed way to get your question on the mailbag. Wyatt, I'm sorry, there will not be a Bears Now tomorrow, so you're going to have to miss out on that one. I'm sure you could message Harrison on Instagram, though, and he'd love to talk some Bears with you. Hashtag Giants or super chat to get on the show. We're at 82 likes. Can we get to 100? Can we get to 100? Marty says you're going to need a new hard hat soon. I just have sentimental, is that the word I'm looking for?
Sentimental value or an emotional connection.
Yeah, I have an emotional connection to this hard hat for a couple of reasons. One, it was our first year doing watch parties here on the channel. A lot of great memories in this hard hat. But also my dad gave me this hard hat. It was his. He gave it to me. I don't think I could never let this go, and I don't think I'd ever want to wear another one. So I don't know what we're going to do next year. Maybe I have to get another one. Maybe we take all these stickers and put them on another one, but I continue to wear this one. I got to make a decision on this hard hat here, but it does hold a nice soft spot next to my heart because it was my dad's. And my dad was the one who taught me about Giants football, and he's the biggest Giants fan I know. So I'm going to, yeah, Bill offered to get me a new one, and I didn't take him up on the offer because I love this one. And I have so many memories, and it was my pops, so maybe I just need to stop being emotional about it. Whatever, though. I appreciate everybody getting their questions in. Shout out to Corinne getting a question in. Rangers is getting a question in. Mitch got a question in. The Kid got a question in. Wyatt got a question in as well. But Bush Baby, no spamming. It's my last warning.
That's strike 2. You know what happens on strike 3. You're out of here.
You may have to go to timeout for a little bit. I love the energy you're bringing, but just dial it down a little bit because you're maybe ruining the experience for some other people. Marty, you're the man, my man. All righty. If you have a question, use hashtag Giants. But let's talk about the NFL draft coming up. What's it? Today's Monday, so 2 weeks and 3 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 weeks and 4 days. What's that, 18 days away? 18 days away from the NFL draft. So let's talk about some players that maybe are going under the radar that Giants could talk about. Let me get a sip of water right here. Woo! All righty, let's do it. The NFL draft is just 2 weeks away, and the Giants are almost already on the clock. Everybody's talking about first-round draft targets, second-round draft targets. Let's talk about some sleepers. What players in the NCAA are being slept on and not getting the respect that they deserve at the NFL draft? Name an NFL draft sleeper that you want the Giants to draft right now in the comments section. What's going on, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. The NFL draft is almost here, so let's talk about some NFL draft sleepers. Everybody's got NFL draft sleepers, but in today's show, we're going to go through the top 5 MG draft sleepers. And what is a draft sleeper? If you go in the first round, you're not a sleeper. If you're projected to go in the second round, probably not a sleeper as well. I think a sleeper is someone that, whether it's in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th round, is going to end up being a starter in the National Football League. You'll look back and you'll be like, the Giants got Dane Belton in the 4th round, but he started at safety for 6 years. That would be considered a draft sleeper. So I'm going to go through 5 draft sleepers, all at positions of need for the New York Giants. I think the biggest needs are receiver, corner, center, edge rusher, and then maybe a running back. So we'll talk about that. Let's start, though, with a wide receiver out of SMU, Rashee Rice. He is one of the biggest sleepers on my board, and there's a couple of reasons for that. At the NFL Combine, he weighed in at 204 pounds, 6'1", ran a 4.5 140, which was slower than a lot of people thought. But just because you ran a 4.5 40 does not mean you're slow. And that is the furthest thing that Rashee Rice is. He is absolutely dynamic, he is fast, and he could do it all on the football field. When you look at what he did in the 2022 season, the thing I like most about Rashee Rice is he's a true outside receiver. He could play in the slot, and he did that for 81 snaps in the 2022 college football season. But he had 387 snaps out wide. I also like the production. Those are NFL receiver numbers right there. 96 receptions in 12 games played, almost 1,400 yards. He's a deep threat, good yards per catch guy, 14 per pop, and 10 touchdowns. See, I think he has great body control. He's an elite hands catcher, and he is someone that can fight through the contact and make contested catches. That's what he did at SMU. And when you look at this Giants wide receiver depth chart, I know we still need a top flight wide receiver. And maybe you select him and pick 57 in round 2. I lean more towards round 3 with Rashee Rice. But you need another outside guy. Hodgins can play outside. Slayton can play outside. Campbell can play outside. Colin Johnson does play outside. Crowder's a slot, though. Shepard's a slot. Robinson is a slot. Whereas Rashee Rice is a true outside wide receiver. He can play that X. He's someone that can win one-on-one matchups. I love the body control. And when the ball is in the air, and it's a 50-50 ball, it's his, and he attacks it. I'm a big fan of the receiver out of Dallas. Cory Trice is a cornerback that I'm keeping my eyes on. As producer Nick Rowley would say, I love the measurables on this kid, and it's hard to disagree with that. When you come in at 6'3", 206 pounds, and you play the cornerback position, and you run a 4.4 40, it comes down to coaching at this point. He's got the long arms. He has the wingspan. He has the speed. Everything you want in a corner, he has. Does he have to improve his technique? Absolutely. But I think if you put him in a DB room like the Giants have with Adoree Jackson and the great DBs coach they have, and you have Wink Martindale, it's their job to make this kid an elite player, which I think something is down that could come for him down the line. When you look at the coverage stats for him in 2022, he allowed just a completion percentage of 48%, just allowed 220 yards and only 1 touchdown. He had 10 pass breakups and 2 interceptions. Is he raw? Yes. Does he need to get better? Yes. Does he need to improve his technique? Absolutely. But when you're looking at a prototypical press man corner, 6'3", 200 pounds, 4.4 40, long arms, this is someone that I think the Giants are going to be interested in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is one day a New York Football Giant. I want to go back to round 1, though. We're talking about draft sleepers. I doubt any of these guys are going to go in round 1. And we got some deep sleepers coming up in a second. But what position should the Giants draft in round 1? What do you think? I know I'm a BPA guy, best player available. I know a lot of you are best player available. But if you had to pick a position, what position should the Giants go for in round 1? Type wide receiver, CB, or center. Sound off for me down below. We'll get to 3 other sleepers I have coming up on today's show. But first, I got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Fume. Are you tired of struggling with bad habits? Cold turkey might be great for sandwiches, but there's a better way to break free from those pesky habits. And it doesn't involve weird mind voodoo or other bizarre tactics. Introducing our sponsor, Fume, an innovative, award-nominated device that helps you kick bad habits to the curb by focusing on the good parts. Scan the QR code on screen to learn more about Fume. Fume is all about embracing the natural. It's not electronic, and instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Best of all, it's free of harmful chemicals and packed with delicious, all-natural flavors. The adjustable airflow dial and movable parts and magnets make it perfect for fidgeting, which can help alleviate stress and anxiety. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but I was pleasantly surprised by the taste, feel, and look of Fume. Start your journey today towards a healthier lifestyle with the Journey Pack from Fume. Visit tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 10% off when you purchase the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports. And don't forget to use the code chatsports for 10% off your order today. The link is down in the comments section and description, or you can scan the QR code on screen to unlock this offer. One more time, tryfum.com/chatsports. The link is right here. It's also clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. When you're talking about edge rushers, it's always hard to find sleepers in this department because I feel like this is a position that always gets scouted really well, and none of these guys really slip through the cracks. But what about YaYa Diaby? I don't think I'm saying it right. I said it like 50 times before the show, but I'm going to try my best. YaYa Diaby. One of those two has to be right. The dude is an absolute freak. 6'3", 263 pounds, and he ran a 4.51 40 at the NFL Combine. Played for Louisville last year. I like the size. I like the strength, and he has a great first step. He is someone that could bend that corner. Needs to get better with his technique, no doubt about it. All these guys do. That's why we're talking about them as NFL draft sleepers. but 9 sacks last year. That's what I fell in love with when I put on the tape for good old YaYa. 9 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 14 tackles for loss, 37 tackles. He plays a little bit high at times, needs to get better with his hand placement, add a couple more moves into his bag. When you talk about size, strength, and speed, YaYa checks all of those boxes. And the production, 9 sacks last year. The Giants need to improve the edge rusher department. I love Kayvon Thibodeau. I love Azeez Ojulari, but you can't run these guys into the ground, and they can't be the only guys that you depend on at the edge position. You need a rotation. Go back and remember those Super Bowl teams for the Giants. They had edge rusher after edge rusher after edge rusher that would come after you, and that's what you need to get back to. We need a rotation at that edge spot, and YaYa could be a guy that you look for in round 3, 4, or 5 that could really overall boost the talent at this spot. As much as I like Ryder Anderson and Ellerson Smith and Tom and Fox, you got to get more talent at that position. I may have only included Juice Scruggs in this list because his name is Juice. If your name is Juice, you got to have some freaking juice to your game, and that's what Juice Scruggs has. I'm a big fan of him. He's a center at Penn State. You probably can get him in round 4, 5, or 6. Not the strongest guy in the world, 6'3", 310 pounds. He's got solid feet, but he needs to be more physical and violent at the attack. Someone that I think can get better and absolutely will get better. I think he fits the mold of what the Giants front office wants in their football players. Smart, tough, and dependable. His football IQ is supposedly off the charts. He was a captain for Penn State, which means he's reliable, and he's someone that leads by example. He played in 13 games last year for Penn State, 896 snaps. His overall grade on PFF was 71.5, 73.6 in the pass blocking department, and 70 at the run block spot. Those numbers aren't great, but also PFF, if you're anywhere above 70, that's pretty damn good. There's a reason Juice is expected to go in round 4 or round 5. Still a developmental player. I don't think he's a guy that would start game 1 for the Giants, but I do think he could be a guy that you could mold, a guy like Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach, could work with, and maybe year 2 or year 3, he's ready to start. Maybe you like a center in round 1 or 2 to be your starter, and that's fine. There's plenty of those guys you could look at, but you need a starting center. Maybe that is Ben Bredeson, and Juice Scruggs comes along midway through the season. But I don't expect him to be a starter come week 1. There's other guys in this draft that could be that guy, but I am a fan of Juice Scruggs, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't just because of his name. He is a good football player as well. Maybe there's a center you like out there. There's a lot of good ones, no doubt about it, and we've talked about them all. John Michael Schmitz, Tippmann, Whitebler, the guy out of Arkansas. Is there one you love? Is there one the Giants have to draft? Let me know down in the comment section. I don't even know if this guy counts as a sleeper anymore because so many guys are talking about it, but I was a fan of him 3 months ago when I was talking to our draft expert here at Chat Sports. That is Israel. Oh, I messed it up again. Abanikanda. Israel Abanikanda. Someone at our office calls him Anaconda because it's an easy way. I'm going to call him Izzy Abanikanda. He is electric, ladies and gentlemen. 5'10", 216 pounds. The 4.4 40 does not really tell you how fast this guy is. Go look at his highlights after today's live show. He is one of the most explosive running backs in the NFL draft this year, and I think he plays faster than what he tested at, though. Abanikanda is electric, and that's why he averaged 6 yards per touch last year for the Pitt Panthers, over 230 carries to go with 1,400 yards and 20 tutties. If you score 20 tutties in a football season, you're pretty damn good at running the pigskin, and that is what Abanikanda is good at. He's a one-cut-and-go running back. When he gets into the open field, you're not going to catch him. He reminds me of Devon Achane, who is one of my favorite backs in this class, but he's got more weight on him. Achane's about 185 pounds, whereas Abanikanda weighed in at 215 pounds at the NFL Combine. He runs hard, too. He's not just someone that you're going to tackle easily. One step and go. If you're behind him, you better just wait for the next play and get ready for the PAT because he's going to go to the crib. We talked about 5 draft sleepers in today's video. I'm sure you guys have a bunch of other draft sleepers, but if you're just ready, are you ready for the NFL draft? I know I am. If you want it here, like now, right now, go ahead, like this video for me, and we'll do more draft coverage here on the channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's video. Love talking about the NFL draft and sleepers, especially because everybody's got their own draft sleepers. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you later here on the channel. I can't believe I freaking butchered his name. Abanikanda. I know that. But with the bright lights, I thought I had it too.
We did a bunch of practicing beforehand too.
With a couple of those guys. Abanikanda and who was the other guy? YaYa Diaby.
Yeah.
I said it like 30 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it like 30 times.
Oh, yeah. What's that song? I think it's Hard from Rihanna. Oh, yeah, or something like that.
Sports God, no spamming. You're going in timeout. Corinne is mad, so we're going to put you in timeout. No spamming on the channel. No spamming. Do not spam. If you spam, Rolly will not pick your question. He will not pick your question.
And while we were in that cut, we got a $20 super chat
my
from
man
Craig Clifford.
Craig Clifford, a legend here. Oh, I just burped a little. Sorry about that. Craig, my man, a legend here on the channel. Second round pick, Ojulari's brother could finally team up in the NFL with the Giants. I love BJ Ojulari. He's a good football player, man. A little bit undersized like his brother. If he's there at 57, I would not be mad if the Giants pulled the trigger on that. I think it'd be pretty cool to have two Ojularis on the team as well. But I'm right there with your line of thinking, Craig. You have to add another edge rusher. I think it's got to be with a premium pick in this draft. Unless you're going to plan on signing a veteran D-end, maybe a Justin Houston, maybe a Frank Clark, maybe a Jadeveon Clowney like we've talked about, which I don't think they're going to do, to be honest with you. The first four positions I would like to see drafted: receiver, corner, center, edge rusher. Those are the four positions I want the Giants to go and select. Craig, we'll spin the wheel for you coming up here in a second.
Listen, I know Odell Beckham Jr. signed with the Ravens yesterday. That pretty much ended our weigh-in. We liked asking you guys the question. Type OBJ for yes, no BJ for no. Hey, maybe you can bring it back with BJ Ojulari.
Maybe we could bring it back with Mr. BJ.
Mr. BJ.
A lot of people were happy that we're done talking about Odell. A lot of people are sad.
Lame.
He's literally one of the most polarizing players on Giants YouTube. Some people love hearing about Odell. Some people hate it. I had to maneuver through a minefield every single time I did a video. But yeah. It's dead. The dream's dead. OBJ, you're not a Giant. You are a Raven.
Oh, Wyatt, you're the man. I was so confused. I saw Chad's comment. Man crush on Rolly, question mark. Who can blame ya?
Nobody.
And I was just like, who started that? And then I saw Wyatt say, Cha, I'm just here for Rolly. Wyatt, I love you. And unfortunately, we're going to have no Bears tomorrow. But next Tuesday, we'll be back.
Yeah, maybe. We will spin the wheel for my main man, Craig. Craig, we appreciate the super chat. Every $20 super chat will spin the wheel. Future says, YaYa Diaby and Yasir Abdullah are sleepers, must-draft players out of Louisville, Kentucky. So underrated. Look at the draft tape for both. I watched these guys in person. The energy they bring, dynamic. I will check out Yasir Abdullah. He's not someone I've watched tape on. So Future, I appreciate that. I'll check that out.
Mitch, I'm in a really good mindset today. I'm having a good day. You know, I'm not gonna worry about your negativity today, Mitch. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. Tomorrow.
Who was the running back you wanted me to put on the show today, Rolly?
Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia. He's a dog. Literally, he went to Georgia.
So Rolly wanted me to put on Kenny McIntosh in the Sleepers video, but I loved Israel Abanikanda too much.
I just didn't think
he's not even really a sleeper.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think he qualified because, like,
everyone knows.
We have probably 60% of our office at Chat Sports is all in on Izzy. So I mean, at that point,
we were
really
first
a sleeper.
And by we, I mean me and Tom Downey.
Yeah.
Me and Tom Downey.
Listen, I was big time on Cory Trice. That's my guy. All right, we're gonna spin the wheel. Here we go.
Tom messaged me about Abanikanda on February 27th. That's first.
Oh.
Wow. I like this one.
Something that we have really never put on the wheel before. Kind of electric.
If being in on Abanikanda February 27th, does that still make him a sleeper for me?
You were on him first, so you get bonus. You can get bonus
points.
You get a 90 on your test, but it's actually bumped up to a 92 because you were on him a month before everyone else.
So I've been a big fan of Devon Achane all college football season, and Tom Downey knows that, and he told me if you like Achane, you're gonna like Abanikanda.
I love Achane too.
And then
That's
I love
my guy,
Achane.
but he's not a sleeper.
He's not a sleeper. He reminds me of like Jamal Charles, Chris Johnson a little bit. Give Rolly a follow on Twitter.
I'm following everyone back.
Whoever follows Rolly right now on Twitter, the link is in the live chat. Click it, give him a follow. He'll give you a follow back, and he'll give you a shout out. Show the man some love. He's always doing mad work for you guys that you guys probably don't even see. But all the graphics on screen, that's because of Rolly. So give him a follow. Give him a follow. Sports God said, yo, Marshall, sorry for spamming. I just want you to weigh in on this. OBJ signed with Baltimore. What receiver do you think the Giants will trade, sign, or do you think they will draft Johnson or JSN? Well, lucky for you, Sports God, we got a mailbag coming up on today's show. And the way you can get your question on the mailbag, Sports God, is you got to include hashtag Giants, like you see it on screen right there. Just include that in your comment, and we'll be able to pull it through our software and put it up on screen. So Sports God, if you want your question on the show, you can use hashtag Giants, or if you want to guarantee a spot on the mailbag, you got a super chat. Rolly, has anyone from Giants Now followed you?
I'm logging on to my Twitter right now.
Rob Simpy says done. He followed you.
I don't know. Doesn't look like anyone followed me.
Wow, no one followed Rolly. That's kind of messed up.
Everyone hates me.
Crim's dad already followed you, huh?
I think he did.
Crimmy already followed you. Bill, Cha gave you a follow. That's big time.
Oh, that makes me feel better about myself. Maybe my Twitter's just not loading. I haven't seen any notifications pop up or anything. So maybe my Twitter's down. Maybe I'm getting shadow banned.
Sports God, we got your question in there. Now it's up to Rolly to pull it on. He did it earlier too, though.
Wyatt. Unfortunately, it's because you were in the Giants chat and not the Bears chat, and you're kind of talking shit about the Giants.
Come on,
dude. So you're going to get some hate.
Come on, Wyatt. Mr. Rick gave Rolly a follow. He said, I believe him. Rick wouldn't lie to us.
Mitch hates me, and I'm sick of it.
Let's freaking go. I was pretty hyped up this morning. I came into work with a package on my desk, a package I've been waiting for 2 weeks. I know Mr. Rick is waiting for a package as well from us. Kind of pissed me off, Mr. Rick, that it hasn't been delivered yet. I don't know what's going on there. Shipping department said it got shipped out, so hopefully someone didn't steal it, because that would piss me off. But one of my buddies went to a Knicks game at Madison Square Garden a couple weeks ago, and he got me 2 shirts, a Jalen Brunson and a Josh Hart shirt, and they came in today. I was pretty excited about that. We do have a mailbag coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll get to that here in a second. If you want your question featured on the mailbag, go ahead and use hashtag Giants. That way producer Rolly, can get that up on screen. And a super chat is the best way to guarantee your question gets in on the show. Benji says, super chat, why are you guys even thinking about a wide receiver? Y'all need Diggs. Well, that's not how you super chat. So good try.
That'd be cool.
But that's unfortunately not how this goes. Sinister says, I follow you both, brother. Hell, I need to follow Marsh. What the hell?
Whoa.
Give me a follow.
Wyatt, I can't promise anything. I have to see if you actually asked a Giants-related question, because if it's something about the Bears, which I've seen you've done, I can't really put that on a Giants mailbag. You know what I mean? So we'll see what I can do. Now, if you asked who will have a better season this year, Giants or Bears, maybe I can get that on there. But if you're just saying stuff about the Bears, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah, this isn't Bears Now with Harrison Graham. As cool as that show is, as many subs as you guys got.
Here we go. I got
Bill gave you a follow.
Yeah, Bill.
Bill is the king of Giants Twitter.
I just got that notification. Bill, I gave him a follow back.
Bill's always interacting with all
Rob
the Giants fans on Twitter. I love it.
Rob Jigga says, what's up,
Rob gave you a follow?
Yeah.
That's he.
And he tweeted at me.
I don't think Rob even follows me.
That can't be true.
Craig says, can you post how to follow him again? Krim says I don't use Twitter much.
Okay, Crims. Keep on telling yourself that.
Craig, he's going to put his link to his Twitter in the live chat. So just click it and then click follow. Just click the link in the chat and click follow. But like I said, the Giants Wire, a good site that does Giants content, put out a list of 5 free agents. So we're going to break those down in today's show. Let's go ahead and do that. What up, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're going to go through 5 free agents that the New York Giants could sign. The Giants Wire, a really good Giants content creator website, came up with 5 free agents the Giants could sign. We'll talk about those 5 guys, and I'll give you my opinion on them if they make any sense in today's video. The first one that they had listed was Rashee Rice, the cornerback. Outside corner, big, strong, physical corner, played for the Las Vegas Raiders last year, previously with the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't live up to the hype with the Raiders, and that's kind of why all these guys are still free agents at this point. But there's no denying that the Giants need another cornerback on this roster. That's why there's been so much talk about the Giants selecting one in round 1. But maybe the Giants want to go the veteran route and add a guy like Rashee Rice because they are pretty young still at the cornerback position. Outside of Adoree Jackson, and I guess you could say Darnay Holmes at this point, all of these guys are still really young corners. Aaron Robinson, he's going to be entering year 3 of his NFL career, but he didn't play in year 2. He's coming back from an injury. Cordell Flott is entering year 2, and I'm expecting him to compete to be that CB2 on this roster. Then you got Nick McLeod. Then you have Amani Oruwariye. He's going to have to fight to make this roster. So you definitely have a need at that second cornerback position. When you look at what Rashee Rice does, he does somewhat fit the New York Giants' needs. He's a big, strong, physical corner, can play a little bit of press man coverage, but he's more of an off-man corner, I would say. He allowed 31 receptions this year for 323 yards, just 1 touchdown and a completion percentage of 58.5, which honestly is pretty good. And when you look at how PFF evaluated his year this year, last year, with the Las Vegas Raiders, by PFF standards, he was average. I mean, anything above 70, I would say, for PFF is pretty damn good, and that's why I think 65 is decent, 65 coverage, and then for tackling, he's not much of a tackler, but not a bad tackler by any means, but that's not one of the most important skills for a corner. Another corner that has been linked to the Giants a lot is Marcus Peters, and we've talked about him a bunch on this channel. Bleacher Report just put out an article, 1 free agent every team should sign, and that was Marcus Peters for the New York Giants. So if you had to pick one of these guys, is it Marcus Peters and the connection to Wink Martindale, their days in Baltimore? Is it Rashee Rice? Pick one of these corners down below in the comment section. Another D lineman that I think, as well as the Giants Wire thinks the Giants could be interested in, is A'Shawn Robinson. Obviously, the Giants met with A'Shawn Robinson early on in NFL free agency. It didn't amount to anything at the current moment, but that does not mean the door is closed on a signing or potential deal with A'Shawn Robinson. Sometimes you bring these guys in prior to the NFL draft, and you're like, stay by your phone. If you're still a free agent after the NFL draft, we'll have a better understanding of what this roster needs. And that's what I think is going to happen with a guy like A'Shawn Robinson as well as Deion Jones. The Giants know they have to beef up still the interior part of that defensive line. And if they're unable to get a guy they like in the NFL draft, they could revisit A'Shawn Robinson. I love the inside of this line. I love Leonard Williams. I love Dexter Lawrence. I like Jihad Warden. I like Raheem Nunez-Roches. But you still need another guy at that spot. You need a rotation because you don't want Dexter Lawrence playing 90% of snaps again, and you don't want to run Leonard Williams into the ground as he is getting older in the National Football League. A'Shawn Robinson is one of the best run-stuffing defensive tackles in the National Football League. 42 tackles last year, 67 the year before that. 2 tackles for loss in each of the last 2 seasons. 3 QB hits last year, 2 the year before that, and 2 sacks. He's not a pass rusher by any stretch of the imagination. He is a big body. as Dave Gettleman would say, a hog molly, someone that's going to take up a lot of blocks and make it easier on the linebackers behind you. Bobby Okereke and Jared Davis would love to play behind a guy like A'Shawn Robinson. Another player that could be linked to the Giants is Dalton Risner, the interior offensive lineman. He was a former pick of the Denver Broncos. The Giants could look to add more of a veteran piece to their interior offensive line, as they do still have some young bucks like Joshua Ezeudu and Marcus McKeithen on this interior. When you look at what Risner did last year for the Denver Broncos, Pro Football Focus graded him out at a 61 overall, a better pass blocker than run blocker, graded fairly well in that spot. But it's just like, do the Giants need another guard? Your thought process here would be, do you want to depend on Joshua Ezeudu, the second-year player out of North Carolina, a former top 100 pick coming off a season-ending injury? You're hoping he can play. You don't pick someone in the top 100 of the NFL draft if you don't expect them to be a starter down the line. And I think that would be best-case scenario for the Giants, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. You need these draft picks to play. Risner could be a backup option. Maybe you're wanting a more savvy veteran on that spot, especially if you're going to bring in a young center to start there. And you could have Risner be the, kind of the pro and the vet and the mentor in that guard spot with Golowinski on the other side and a rookie in the middle. It makes some sense, but I want to see what Joshua Ezeudu has at that spot. Former top 100 pick. It's time for him to become a player. Hopefully he bounces back from this injury and he can be your starting guard for the next 8-10 years in the NFL. We got two more guys we're going to talk about coming up in a second. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I want to say thank you to everybody that has hit that big red button, because we just crossed over 27 freaking thousand subs here on the channel. We did it for Brandon Jacobs. So thank you guys. I love the support you guys show. It's incredible to see how fast this channel continues to grow, but we ain't stopping there. 28,000 subs. We're coming for you. Sub for Giants Dubs. The NFL draft is also right around the corner, and you should get your NFL draft hats. They got two styles over at chatsports.com/NYG draft hat. You could get the gray or silver, whatever color you want to call it, flat brim hat. They also have the dad curved bill hat, which I am actually more of a fan of. They got the blue, they got the gray, they got them flat, they got them curved, fitted, snapback, whatever style you are, we've got it for you. Go to chatsports.com/NYG draft hat. That link's in the comments and description of today's show. I thought this one was very, very interesting by the Giants wire. They listed Jarvis Landry as a potential free agent target, and it's definitely spicy. It's a spicy one, no doubt about it. How funny would it be to not sign Odell Beckham Jr. and then sign his best friend, Jarvis Landry? The thing for me is I don't really see a need for Jarvis Landry on this team anymore. I think the Giants have plenty of veteran slot receivers. Sterling Shepard, Jamison Crowder, I think both those guys are honestly better than Jarvis Landry at this point. And I still want snaps for Wan'Dale Robinson, former second-round pick out of Kentucky last year. I like Landry. I think he's had a good NFL career. I think he's a good guy. I just don't really know if there's a spot on this team for him anymore. Even Paris Campbell predominantly plays out of the slot. At least he did last year with Indy. I think he'll play more of an outside role with Big Blue this year. Landry has kind of fallen off a cliff as well. The last 2 years, he didn't even play a full season, barely half a season. Last year, only 25 catches in 9 games played. He's a veteran. He knows the NFL. He's talented. He's a good slot receiver. I just personally don't think it makes much sense anymore. Look, if you want to take a 1-year veteran minimum deal and fight to make this roster, sure, we could bring in Jarvis Landry. But to be honest with you, I would be typing my P in the comment section right now for pass. I'm good on Landry. I want to see what Crowder, Shepard, and Wan'Dale Robinson as well as Paris Campbell have in the slot. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you want to bring the Bayou Bengal, the LSU Tiger, Jarvis Landry to New York. Do you? Type S for sign, type P for pass, let me know. The last player that the Giants wire had linked to the Giants at NFL free agency is Zach Cunningham, the linebacker formerly of the Tennessee Titans. And before that, the Houston Texans. So when you look at what the Giants have right now in the cupboard at the inside linebacker spot, Sure, they could use another guy right now, right? Bobby Okereke, no doubt, is going to be your linebacker one and your Mike linebacker. You brought back Jarrad Davis as well, started the last couple of games for you last year. You're hoping Darian Beavers, former 6th-round pick out of Cincinnati, I want to say Clemson for some reason. Cincinnati can bounce back from that torn ACL. And maybe Micah McFadden in year 2 could give you some juice. At most, Cunningham would be a rotational linebacker for this team. You're not paying him big bucks. You'd be a 1-year veteran minimum deal. And he's a guy that used to stuff the stat sheet, kind of like a guy like Jalen Smith that was once on this team. In 2019 for the Houston Texans as well as 2020, he was a tackling sideline-to-sideline machine. Over 300 tackles combined in 2020 and 2019. 18 tackles for loss as well in that stretch. He's no scrub, but he's not as good as he once was. Sure, if he wants to take a 1-year veteran minimum deal, come be a training camp guy for this roster, I'd be down with it. But I'm more interested in seeing what a guy like Darian Beavers has on this team. Maybe you draft a linebacker in round 4, 5, 6, or 7. Maybe you see if Micah McFadden has any of that juice that a lot of people thought he had last year coming out of the draft. I'm not really in the market right now for adding a veteran linebacker. I understand why the Giants wire linked him, but I'm kind of over the players that are on their way out of the NFL. I don't think Landry makes a lot of sense. I don't think Cunningham makes a lot of sense. I think the other guys make some sense, but even Risner, I think the Giants want to go with a little bit more youth at that interior offensive line. I appreciate the list they put out, but we had to talk about it today and see if it actually made some sense. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show today. Remember, give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Let's talk some ball. Let's talk some Giants football over there. Woo! Am I wrong here, Rolly? I just don't see a need for Jarvis Landry on this team anymore. Good name.
Well, it's a great name. And now everyone is going to get all hot and bothered because it's like, oh my God, it's Jarvis Landry. We have to bring him in. But I think what you just laid out for everyone, and it's like the Giants don't need any slot receivers.
Yeah.
Paris Campbell plays the slot. Sterling Shepard plays the slot.
Jamison Crowder.
Wan'Dale Robinson, 2nd-round pick from last year. It just doesn't really make any sense to add another slot receiver to that group, especially one that's so old. Now, if you look towards the draft, then they want to go after a Zay Flowers or a Josh Downs, who primarily
which is way different because it's like,
yeah,
when you pick someone in the draft, you're expecting them at minimum on your team to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
So just because you signed Shepard and Campbell and Crowder to 1-year deals does not mean you should be out of the market for a slot receiver, because they're 1-year fixtures, and the draft guy will be cost controlled for the next 4 or 5 years.
I do wonder, though, if the front office, if they want to address the wide receiver position in the first 2 rounds, if they look at, okay, we have a bunch of 1-year slot receivers on our team.
Yeah.
Plus Wan'Dale Robinson from last year, who is under control for, another 2 years after this one, so 3 total. Maybe they look at it, if they're going to target a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, maybe they go for more the prototypical outside guy, the big body guy. I'm not a Quentin Johnson guy. I actually think he's going to stink in the NFL. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants were in on him more than a Zay Flowers or Josh Downs, just because of fit. And they're probably going to hope, Schoen, Dable, they're going to hope that Wan'Dale Robinson's going to stay healthy and be the slot guy for the Giants for the next 3 years. Pair that up with a Johnston. Never know.
I thought Joe Schoen, so the Giants do this thing on YouTube where they go behind the scenes and they take these clips, obviously, from, the draft meetings and stuff. And obviously, Joe Schoen has to sign off on those quotes becoming public. This was Joe Schoen in today's Giants Life video. He said, the versatility to play multiple positions will be important, talking about receivers. He said, you have to be smart to play on our offense. To do what we want to do, you have to be able to move the guys around, and they have to be able to learn. That tells me that they're not dead set on signing or drafting an outside receiver or a slot receiver. They want a guy that can play all over the football field. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how the Giants kind of fix that wide receiver spot. I am fascinated to see what they're going to do because, like we said, you got a lot of short, shifty, fast guys. Ideally, the NFL ideology is now you go get a big outside guy. But Joe Schoen just said, I want guys that can play multiple positions. Can Quentin Johnson line up in the slot? Can he line up outside? Like, I don't know. I'm not that high on Quentin Johnson, but I also could see him in 3 years being the best receiver from this draft class.
I will say, I think if you're targeting a wide receiver, the one who fits the Giants the most, in my opinion, is actually Zay Flowers. Now, will he be there at 25, or will the Giants have to potentially trade up? I know there's a lot of buzz of New England. If they go wide receiver in the first round at 14, it would most likely be Zay Flowers. I mean, guy from the area, went to Boston College. Then they had him in for a couple meetings. They've already had him learn Bill O'Brien's offense extensively. It's an interesting tidbit to keep your mind on as we're, 2.5 weeks away from the draft, if he's even going to be there past 14. But he's someone who's very shifty, can play the slot, but has experience playing outside at Boston College as well. I do want to give a shout-out to some people on Twitter who are hitting me up now.
Love that.
Bill tweeted at me and said, want to see the chat's head explode. It sent me a PFN mock draft simulator, and this is what he drafted in the first 4 rounds. I'm going to show the camera. If you guys can see, is it too blurry? I'll just read it out if you guys can't see.
Yeah, a little
So
much.
At 25, he took Osiris Torrance,
the guard
out
from
of Florida. At 57, he took the center at Ohio State, Luke Weipler.
Ooh, beefing up that O-line.
At 89, which was a great pick if he's still there, Jack Sperry, one of our guys here who loves the draft, thinks he'll go in the second round, possibly late first. He's a riser. Tyreek Stevenson, corner out of Miami.
Very physical outside corner.
Press guy. And then in the 4th round, which at this point I don't think will happen, unfortunately, Bill, had Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I think he's rising too much. I don't think he'll be there in the 4th.
If that was the Giants draft, I would not be mad.
I think that would be an A.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get a guard, you get a center, you get a receiver, you get – who was the other guy, a corner?
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson.
I'm not mad at that, Bill. I'm not mad at that.
All right. Some other guys. Cha, I saw the follow. Craig Clifford followed me, back you. And Martin Milella followed back too.
Marty. Shout out to Marty.
Appreciate you guys.
Bill, I am very curious. Look, I talk about this team every day. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like
they have so many avenues they could go in.
Yeah, like could they go receiver? Could they go corner? Could they go center? Could they go edge rusher? Could they shock everyone and go freaking linebacker or guard? That's why the NFL draft is always, always so fascinating. Mike G. What up, MG? Best initials in the game, my man. Says MG such a stud. Yes, you are. My question for you is, do you think a guy like Marcus Peters is worth a signing? 1-year prove-it deal, maybe link to Wink seems like a no-brainer. We'll hit this in the mailbag. I love this question, Mike. We'll talk about this coming up in a mailbag. Let's do one last push for the mailbag before we close out today's show. Mike, $10 super chat. I got a shot of Fireball for you, my man. Last chance to get on the mailbag, Rolly. Let the people know how.
Yeah, you guys see it on screen. Use hashtag Giants to get on the show or super chat like you just saw MG. Mike did. He'll be on our mailbag. Craig Clifford will be on our mailbag. Aunt Ben Rod99, the first super chat of the day, that will be on the mailbag. So if you want Marsh to answer your questions, whether it be drafts, free agency, how the 2023 season's going to go, super chat, hashtag Giants. Our software will pull it. I'll put it on screen, and you have your question answered. Wyatt, I see your question. That's not much of a question, though. That's a Bears thing. Like I said earlier.
That's not – you're saying the Giants are going to go 1-15. Well, the thing is they play 17 games. So, Wyatt, you're going to have to add a win or a loss there. Then you say the Bears are going 13-4. DJ Moore and Justin Fields' connection is going to be a breakout season. There's not a question in there, but I'm going to be honest with you. If the Giants have a worse record than the Bears this year, I would be shocked.
Oh, I thought you were going to make a promise, and I was going to say this could get dangerous.
I mean, look, we'd have to remember this for a year.
There is always a team almost every year. That goes from last in the division to first in the
Do
division.
you think Justin Fields is good?
I think,
Honestly. And either answer is fine.
I think he is a below average quarterback, but I think his potential to be top 10 is there. But he's just not as good throwing the football. Maybe DJ Moore changes that. But he is electric on the ground, but his
Great
accuracy
runner.
is brutal. I know we didn't have any receivers in a bad O-line, but still, the accuracy wasn't there.
I got to see it from Fields. I do.
I liked what we saw last year, but like I said, still
Great runner.
Still need more
Great
visuals
runner.
through the air.
What's he going to do on 4th and 6 in the 2-minute drill in enemy territory at the 47, and you got to go for it? Is he going to be able to throw an 8-yard out route? Is he going to be able to pick it up through the air? That's TBD at the moment. I think Fields is a good, talented quarterback. Best running quarterback we've seen maybe ever.
I mean, what he did on the ground last year was
Incredible.
unbelievable.
This is what wins you games, though, as a quarterback. This little wing. That little wing is what wins you games.
Listen, I love Lamar Jackson. I love Justin Fields, just as pure watching them entertainment purposes. But there is a reason that a primarily running quarterback has not won a Super Bowl in some time.
Yeah, like who's even the last one? I can't think of him.
Did Warren Moon win a championship? That might be the one.
All righty, let's do this mailbag. Last chance, hashtag Giants or Super Chat. If maybe the Bears are only playing 16 games this year, says Mr. Rick. Wyatt, yep, you got to keep taking those math classes, my man. Wyatt is getting chirped at in the comments, and I freaking love it. All righty, let's do it. Here we go. What up, everybody? We got a mailbag coming up in today's video. This aired live on our live show, which goes down every Monday about 5 p.m. Eastern time. So subscribe and turn on your notifications so you could be alerted anytime we go live here on the channel. If we didn't get to your question today, go ahead and use hashtag Giants in the comments section, and I'll try to go down there and reply to everyone that submits their question. First question coming in via a super chat for my guy, Aunt Ben Rod, a real one out there. Sup, Marsh? Sup. My prediction for the draft's first round, cornerback Cam Smith, I'd be a fan of that. I'm seeing him slipping a little bit of these mock drafts, but you can't really trust everything you see now as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. And then Jalen Hyatt in round 2. Look, if you come out with Jalen Hyatt and Cam Smith with your first 2 picks, I think that's a pretty good draft for the New York Giants. You get a good corner that I think has a lot of upside. Brian Baldinger, isn't that his name? Brian Baldy? He said that Cam Smith is a can't-miss prospect for the Giants at pick 25. He thinks he really fits a Wink Martindale defense. I'll trust Baldy on that one. He's been in the NFL and watching tape forever. And I love Jalen Hyatt. It takes one catch for Jalen Hyatt to change a game. I think he's the most explosive receiver and best deep threat in this class. I did a video about him on the channel. Giants were one of the least explosive pass offenses last year. You get a guy like Jalen Hyatt that makes your offensive line better because you can't blitz as much. It makes Saquon Barkley better because the boxes will be a lot lighter. It makes your quarterback better. So all it takes is one throw to throw for 6 over 50 yards. I'd be cool with that. My guy Craig Clifford. What up, Craig? Hope you're having a good one, man. He said second-round pick Ojulari's brother could finally team up in the NFL with the Giants. Yes, Azeez Ojulari's brother, BJ Ojulari, is an edge rusher at LSU. I think it's pretty funny because a lot of NFL draft sites say BJ's professional NFL comp is Azeez Ojulari, and that's probably the lowest hanging fruit any of these NFL draft nerds could ever get. But look, Craig, you watch the show all the time. That's why you're a real one, and I agree with you. Look, I love BJ Ojulari. I mean, I love BJ overall, but I would love to get one at pick number 57. That didn't come out right. Giants need an edge rusher is what I'm trying to say. I like Thibodeau. I love Azeez Ojulari. We need a rotation of pass rushers. Ryder Anderson, Tom and Fox, Ellerson Smith. You need someone else. Could BJ be a guy that rotates in? I think so. I'd be a fan of taking an edge rusher in round 2. Craig, salute to you, my man. Mike G. MG, such a stud. MG, you're such a stud. My question for you is, do you think a guy like Marcus Peters is worth a signing? 1 year prove-it deal, maybe linked to Wink, seems like a no-brainer. I think you're right on the money right here, Mike. I've talked about Marcus Peters time and time again here on this channel. For so long, Marcus Peters had been linked to the Giants, like you said, because of the Wink Martindale connection. He was his DC in Baltimore. He fits what the Giants want and need at the cornerback position. It's just the age and the injury concerns that I think are scaring off a couple teams from Marcus Peters. But if I can get Peters for a 1 year, $2, $3, $4 million deal, come be that cornerback too outside of on the opposite side of Adoree Jackson for a year or two, I would absolutely love that. He is a ball hawk. He's a risky corner, which I like. Can't be scared. He's going to make some plays. He's also going to get beat, which is okay. Turnovers are king. You give up 2 touchdowns, give me a pick every 2 touchdowns. You'll be a pretty good corner in the NFL. Mike, I would love to get Marcus Peters. It's going to come down to how much money he's willing to take, though. I do want this question to be answered by a lot of you guys watching this show, so help me out here. CBS Sports just put out their over-under win totals for the 2023 seasons, and they got the Giants at 8.5 wins this year. What do you think? 8.5 wins. Over, under. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if you can hit with that YouTube ad break right now, scroll on down and let me know. 8.5 wins for the Giants, over, under. Eshawn Abraham, what's up, Brody? Says, would you trade up to the top 15 for JSN or trade with the Seahawks for pick 20 to get Jordan Addison? The only receiver, to be honest with you, Abraham, Mr. Abraham, is the only receiver I would trade up for is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He is wide receiver 1 in my book by a long stretch. I think he's going to be a guy that we're going to look back at and say, why was he not a top 10 pick? He predominantly played out of the slot in Ohio State, but that doesn't mean he can't play outside. And I think he can. When you play with guys like Chris Olave and who's the receiver that Garrett Wilson, thank you, Rolly, last year or 2 years ago, I guess that is, for Ohio State, you're going to just fit in when you get in, where you get in, especially if you're a sophomore. But remember that bowl game where he had 300 yards without those 2 guys? He looked more than just a slot receiver then. His short area quickness is special. He showed that off at the NFL Combine. I think he can run every route on the route tree, and I think he's big and strong enough to play on the outside as well. JSN starts getting to 15, 14, 16 on the clock. I bet Joe Schoen's going to start working those phones. Nicholas, what's up, man? He said, should we trade our first-round pick for Brandon Ayuk? This is how I would handle this, Nicholas. Let's say the Giants don't trade up. Pick 25 is on the clock. Let's say Jackson Smith-Njigba is gone. Jordan Addison is gone. Zay Flowers is gone. Quentin Johnston goes at pick 24. Then I probably would consider trading for Brandon Ayuk. Would it be tough to swing a draft day trade for a guy like Ayuk? Absolutely. But we saw A.J. Brown get traded during the NFL draft. I think who is on the board at pick 25 maybe entices a guy like Joe Schoen to make this trade. Straight up, if the Niners called me right now and said, we'll give you Brandon Ayuk for pick 25, I would do it. I'm a lot higher on Brandon Ayuk than I think a lot of people are. I think he's one of the most complete receivers in the National Football League. He can line up on the outside. He can line up in the slot. He's a generator with the football in his hands. He's a springy athlete. And I think if he got out of the shadows of Deebo Samuel and the bad quarterbacks that they've had in San Francisco and goes and plays with Daniel Jones in a system that I think he would gel in, I think Ayuk could be a top 15 receiver in the NFL. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well. We put out videos every day here on New York Giants Now. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. You're watching. You might not be subscribed. Change it. Hit that sub button. Don't be weird. Anthony Raza, my man, he says, do you believe we should trade back for more picks? It's definitely a thought I've had, Anthony, and I've seen some guys talking about it that cover the New York Giants. Look, if you have three picks in the top 100. You got 25, 57, 89. If you want to trade back from 25 to 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, pick up maybe another day 2 pick. Sure, I'd be down. Maybe you don't love any of the receivers that are available at 25. Maybe you think the guy you want is there at 25, but also there at 30. And if you could pick up some more draft capital on the way to do that, I think you could do that. We saw Joe Schoen trade down twice in round 2 last year. So, Anthony, I think trading down is definitely a possibility, and I'm not going to be shocked if it happens. Joe Schoen, he's always trying to add more picks. I think he might look to trade down in round 1. Dominic, what up, DG? Do you think that we could trade for D-Hop or Stephon Diggs with this cap space? Yes, because you can always manipulate the cap. Like, there's always ways to create more salary cap space. I think the better question here is, do I think that the Giants will do that? No. I don't think that they're going to trade for D-Hop. I don't think they're going to trade for Stephon Diggs. A Diggs trade would come after June 1st. That saves the Bills a lot more money if they do make that trade. But overall, I don't think the Giants are going to make another big trade. Could be wrong, but I think trading that 3rd-round pick for Darren Waller was the big trade the Giants were going to make. I love D-Hop. I love Stephon Diggs. It'd make this team better, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Let's discuss it. LDI, what up, Brody? Says, Giants, are they still negotiating Barkley's contract? From what I heard, no. I saw an interview. Joe Schoen said that the contract offer for Barkley that they made is off the table and that they're just going to roll with the franchise tag. Maybe they get back together at some point in June, July, and August and work on a deal. I'm sure they're still in constant contact with Barkley and his representation, but I don't think there's any sitting at a table right now going back and forth about numbers. I think that happened prior to the franchise tag. I hope they get a long-term deal done, but at what price? That's going to be interesting considering what the running back market was this year. Rangers-Raven with a question. In one of the Athletics mock draft, they had the New York Giants trading up to number 11 for Christian Gonzalez. What do you think? Well, I'd freaking love that. I think Christian Gonzalez is one of the best players in this draft. I think he's arguably one of the best corners in this draft. Him and Witherspoon are 2 of the top, in my opinion. What's it cost, though? How much is it going to cost to move from 25 to 11? That sounds like it's going to cost a future first-round pick. And as good as I think Christian Gonzalez is it worth giving up an additional first-round pick? That's a question I don't think I'm willing to answer or willing to do. I don't think I'd give up the 2024 first-round pick to move up to get Gonzalez. As good as I think he is. Giants still have to build through the draft, and I don't know if you want to move up 14 slots and give up an extra first-round pick and not get a quarterback. That's a little steep for me. Gabriel, what up, Gabe? If someone like JSN or Joey Porter is available around 18-20, do you think we trade up? Maybe. Look, if Joe Schoen falls in love with a prospect and he's like, I got to have him. I can't let him go to somewhere else. I got to have him wearing Giants blue, then he'll do it. Look, if JSN's there at 20, you might not be able to risk it. You got to go get him if that's who you want. But look, I'm not going to be shocked if the Giants trade up or they trade down. It's hard to see from afar. We've only seen one draft where the Giants were with Joe Schoen, but they picked at 5 and 7. Obviously, they weren't trading up. There was rumors that they were going to trade down. That didn't happen. They traded down twice in the second round. Gabe, I think anything is on the table. If Joey Porter Jr., who is one of my favorite corners, or JSN is available at 18 or 20, I wouldn't mind trading up. I wouldn't mind trading up at all. Last one in today's show. Brian, my man, says, I feel like the only wide receiver that will drop to 25 is Zay, and if he's there, obviously, absolutely grab him. I don't think we should trade up, honestly. We can make any first-round wide receiver work. I'm kind of there with you, Brian. I think there's too many holes on this team right now to be giving up the draft capital it costs to move up. But let's say JSN's there at 23, 22, 21, 20. Does that change your mind? JSN's my number one wide receiver by a good stretch. So I would trade up for JSN, but I wouldn't give up a future first, and I wouldn't give up a second. I'm wanting some, but I want to pay it on the cheap. That's just who I am. But Brian, I'd be shocked if the Giants traded up, but I wouldn't be mad about it because JSN, I think he's the real deal. We'll close the show with this question today. Name a player you want the Giants to draft. If there's only one player you could have the Giants draft, and he's your guy, who is he? Comment a name down below that the Giants have to draft. Sound off for me. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's video. If you haven't yet, give me a follow over on Twitter. And if you made it this far in the show, hit that thumbs up icon, show some love, like this video. Jesus, I needed some water. Woo! JSN, Corinne, I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. Love Jackson Smith and Jigba. He kind of reminds me of Cooper Kupp.
I haven't heard that comparison before.
Kind of a Cooper Kupp type of player, but I think he's better after the catch. Kupp's sneaky after the catch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, JSN had an all-time 2021 season. All time. Like, it was incredible. People were talking about him being a top 5 pick in this year's draft before he sat out. Well,
that's why I'm not worried about him not playing.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like, listen.
I'm not letting that affect my thoughts on this player.
It didn't affect people's thoughts on Jamar Chase.
And he's, my opinion, a top 5 receiver.
In 2019, when LSU won the Natty, he went crazy. Everyone said that he was going to be a top 5 pick. He sat out the following season and then still was a top 5 pick. And then we've obviously seen him become a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, at least in my opinion.
I agree too.
I saw someone in the comment section, Jay Sports Cards, saying, I wished Marvin Harrison Jr. was available for us.
He ain't making
the other Ohio State wide receiver. Well, here's the thing. If he was in this year's draft,
he would be
the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
And I believe that. I've already been on record on different shows on Chat Sports. I've said it inside the office. I've said it outside of the office to friends. I've said to everyone that I am in the firm belief, I'm in the camp, that in the 2024 NFL draft, the first non-quarterback take, or that will be taken, will be Marvin Harrison Jr. If I had to do a rough mock draft of next year, I don't care who the teams are. First pick, Caleb Williams. Second pick, Drake May. Third pick, Marvin Harrison. That's how I feel. I mean, he is so damn good that he will be the Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts. First player after quarterbacks, he's the one gone.
Max on the beat is in the chat. What up, Max?
What's up, Max?
My man.
Mike says Roshan Johnson, running back out of Texas.
I was going to do Roshan Johnson as my sleeper, but
you just wanted Abanikanda.
Yeah, and he was like not even ranked as a top 30 back on some people. He might not get drafted. I can't do sleeper UDFAs.
What do you mean? You didn't want? Well, I told you about another one, Antoine Green.
You also told me about a running back that runs a 4.6.
Bruiser.
He's 200 pounds. He can't be a bruiser.
He can still be a bruiser.
Abanikanda's 20 more pounds than him, and he ran a 4.4.
He plays above his weight. Come on, Marsh. Don't weight shame.
Who is he their number 1 back this year?
Who
was Georgia's running back this year?
Was McIntosh. And
he was their guy?
Hold on, let me look up Georgia running back stats.
Max on the beat says, I'd give up 2 first-round picks for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Dude, he's incredible, man.
Well, with the Giants picking 32nd into the 2024 draft because they're going to win the Super Bowl, I don't think 2 first-round picks get you up to number 3.
McIntosh was their leading rusher, but he split carries with Dewan Edwards. Listen, he was productive.
He's not going in the draft, is he?
McIntosh had 829 yards, 10 touchdowns, but also good receiving back. 43 catches, 500 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. So we had 12 total touchdowns, 1,300 total yards, and he averaged 5.6 yards per carry. Dude's good. He's good.
Giants need a power back.
Dude, I will say, he was projected to go in the 4th round, but then he ran his 40, and he kind of was like, oh, he'll go in the 6th, 7th now. But I still like him.
Max on the beat's willing to risk it all for
Marvin Harrison. Hey, listen, that's fair. He's that dude. You just heard the praise I gave him going into next year's NFL draft. But if you're not picking inside the top 10, you don't even have a chance because you're going to need to trade up for him. If you're in that late top 10 range, the only way you're getting him next year is if you're in the top 5. Unless he tears an ACL and it moves his draft stock back, which obviously I wish does not happen.
Mike, I would not be mad if they go center at 25. I would not, to be honest with you.
It would have to be Michael Schmitz, right? And
Yeah.
I will say, though, I think it's a little bit of a reach. Now, will he?
He's not getting there to 57
Yeah,
now.
I don't think he would be there at 57, so it would require either a trade back from the first round or trade up in the second round.
Like, let's say Giants move back from 25 to 34 and take him and pick up an extra third. I'd love that.
Yeah.
But even if you just take him at 25 and he turns out to be a 12-year starter for you, I'm not mad at that either. Let's just get football players that are going to start and be good.
Listen, I think I might have made the analogy last week on the show. I mean, the Patriots took Cole Strange in the first round last year.
Everyone was pissed.
Everyone was pissed. Everyone thought
he was
going
good,
to be
right?
a third-round pick. He was a solid rookie, and he'll be unless something dramatically changes for New England, he'll be their starter for at minimum the next 4 years. So if a team views a player as a starter from day one and a starter for the next at minimum 5 years, why not take him in the first round? It's not a sexy pick. There's definitely more players with better upside at that spot. But if you're going to get a guaranteed starter for a team that's going to compete for the playoffs and attempt to win a Super Bowl, why not take a 5-year starter guaranteed?
I can't argue that.
Yeah, Max on the beat is in love with Marvis and Harris Jr. But you got to wait till next year. So
Look, I love him. I love him.
Unless you somehow pick up another first-round pick and that team absolutely stinks, get the Marvin Harrison to New York Giants dreams out of your mind.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be
The only way we're getting him is if we're terrible next year.
And you don't want that.
Yeah.
After going to the playoffs, you don't want to be picking inside the top 10. So get Marvin Harrison out of your mind, Max on the beat. I'm sorry, but you got to do it.
What did the Bills coach say, or the Bills GM say about Jamar Chase? Said, I wish we were bad enough to get a player like Jamar Chase.
No, I think he said, did he say I wish we were? Or did he said I'm glad we weren't bad enough?
I'm glad. Maybe that was what it was.
Yeah, I think he said like something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what
it
I
was
believe
some
he
slick
said.
hating for sure.
It was just like, I'm glad I wasn't that bad or weren't that bad to draft him.
Look, I'll tell you this much. Giants end up picking top 5 next year. All this love we have for Brian Dable and Joe Schoen, it's going to be flipped on its head.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Look, I'll get to Corinne's super chat in a second. Thank you so much, Corinne. Joe Judge, fired after year 2. Pat Shurmur, fired after year 2. Was there another? Ben McAdoo, I believe, was fired after year 2. There's been 3 coaches in a row fired after year 2. I don't think it's possible for Brian Dable.
Even if they went 0-17, I don't think they'd get fired.
Yeah.
Not after year 1.
But people would be freaking be saying it.
He would be on the hot seat going into year 3.
And we don't want that. I love this coach. I love this regime. Corinne with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think the Giants will extend Adoree Jackson? I'll take a shot for you real quick. What's funny is, Corinne, I'll tell you this here in a second.
I'll also say this, going back quickly on the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing. If you're 0-17, or even if you're picking inside the top 5, here's the thing. I don't know if you're going to even take Marvin Harrison, because if you're 0-17, or like, I'm not saying 0-17, like 2-15, 3-14.
We're going to be looking at quarterback.
And Daniel Jones played the entire year, even though you just signed him to a new contract, you're going to be thinking about taking one of those 2 generational guys. Yeah. So just a quick tidbit on that. You can answer the next question, Marsh.
Yeah. Corinne says, do you think the Giants will extend Adoree Jackson? So what's funny is, Corinne, my dad called me on Saturday, and we talked about the Giants for a freaking hour. I looked up and it was an hour. And we were talking about what position do you think you're going to draft round 1. And he was like, you got to look at corner. And I think the Giants do need to select a corner early on, but I don't think it's by all means you need to draft a corner. But he made a good point. He brought up what you said. He said, are you going to pay Adoree Jackson $20 million after this year if he plays good? And that's a decision the Giants are going to have to make. The thing is, you can't pay everybody. We already saw Julian Love go. You're going to have to pay Andrew Thomas a lot of money. You're going to have to pay Dexter Lawrence a lot of money. You're going to have to pay Xavier McKinney a lot of money. I would love to bring Adoree Jackson back, but is he the guy that gets squeezed by the cap? He's had some injuries in his career. He'll be 28 next offseason. How much do you pay a 28-year-old corner? That's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but I would extend him, Corinne, but maybe he's the guy that gets squeezed out. Look, you got to pay Andrew Thomas a lot of freaking money. You got to pay Dexter Lawrence a lot of freaking money. How much money are you going to pay Xavier McKinney? You still got to pay Saquon. Isaiah Hodgins will be a free agent next year. I'm not going to say he's going to command a lot of money, but you're going to have to pay him. Hopefully, Corinne, you do extend to Dory Jackson because I think he's a prime-time corner. I think we saw how much different this defense was with and without him. But it's a fair question, and I think it's something we're going to have to monitor here on this channel because you don't got unlimited money. But that is why I think a corner could be drafted in the first 2 picks. 100%. Terrence says, go Giants. Redwin says, for 1.5 months, I haven't watched a Giants Now stream. Well, what are you doing? Appreciate you tuning in, Matt. Man, hope you're doing well. Isn't it funny how Marshy has kind of stuck? I don't get it. It literally started from one day. I have never been called Marshy in my life. One day, probably a year ago, we did a live stream, and Jeremy Chuggs went in the chat and just started spamming Marshy, and now it has stuck. It has stuck.
I'll say this. I call you Marsh more than Marshall.
Yeah, everyone calls me Marsh, and I never, ever tell anyone to call me Marsh. It just happens.
That's like me with Rolly. I never told anyone here, but my nickname in high school and college was Rolly, and then I never told you guys that, and after a month and a half, I started.
I thought it was funny that no one had ever called him Seeps before he got here.
That one surprised me.
That fits so well.
Because, listen.
I'm not calling him Patrick.
The goal of
or Pat.
Listen, as much as your parents put in effort to name you, the goal in life is to get a name shorter than your actual name and is one thing. Like Marsh, one thing. Rolly, one thing. Seeps, one thing. The goal is always to have one thing. So no one has to say too long of a name. You have one thing you got to say. That's the goal in life. Yeah,
I agree. Seeps is so easy.
I have a good friend from college. His name is Patrick Meisenthal. I've never called him Patrick a day in my life. It's always been Pat.
Yeah.
I'm never calling you by your full name.
And Seeps isn't a Pat either.
No, that'd be weird.
And he's not a Patrick.
I got to be honest, if your name's Patrick,
I don't think I've ever called him Patrick, anything other than Seeps.
You're a cop.
Have you ever called him Pat or Patrick?
No.
I think I only call him Seeps.
I will say I referred to him as Patrick to my parents because they'll ask me, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'll say, I'm out with Patrick because if I said with Seeps, they'd have no clue.
Yeah.
So I just either if I'm on the phone or text them, I'll say I'm with Patrick because they've seen him on a show before. So
I'm not following. Mitch is not a nickname for Michael. I'm sorry.
No.
Mitch, I love you, and you know that, but Mitch is not a nickname for Michael.
Your nickname should be Michael. Mike.
There's no T in Michael.
Yeah, I don't get that. I will say, though, I think Michael is the one name, and if there's others, you can let me know. But I think Michael's the one name where if your name's Michael, I am cool calling you Michael.
Definitely not Mitch.
No. I don't know who came up with that.
Holy shit. All righty. We're going to sign off here on the channel. Thank you to everybody that super chatted today, that tuned in, that liked the video. He said my neighbor gave me that nickname when I was 8. Okay, so you got a story to it. That makes sense. We'll be putting out videos the rest of the week, every day. We'll be live again on Monday, unless the Giants make a move, or we'll go live then.
Well, could the Knicks play on Monday? Because that might impact this.
Yeah, that is true. We'll be live at least one day next week. And then we're going to be live for the NFL draft as well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Corinne, Mitch, Max on the beat, everyone watching right now. You guys are legends. Hopefully I get a little bit less sick. I'm not even sick anymore. I feel way better, but I sound still sick, and my nose still is running a little bit. But I feel way better. So hopefully I feel better. But we'll see.